Previously, on the Goat Surf Club in Senegal, we met up with Babacar to learn about how his zero-waste restaurant is helping motivate other business owners in the area to make a positive impact on the environment.
Pour nous, c'est sacré.
We walked away with a few lessons of our own.
What I've taken away a lot in these meetings and conversations with these Senegalese environmentalists is that you've got to adapt your approach and your communications depending on where you are.
On this episode, we experience a bit of the food, music, and dance culture of Senegal. We eat traditional food with our friend Ida's family, learn some dance moves in the desert, and even attend Africa's biggest jazz festival. In order to do that, we leave Dakar and head about as far north as we could get, to visit the coastal town of Saint Louis, where this episode begins.
Welcome to Saint Louis. Boom.
Saint Louis Jazz Festival. GSC took off their wetsuits and flip-flops, put on a linen shirt and headed out for some culture, music and arts for the weekend. Normally on these trips we dedicate any free time to surfing, but it was super cool to be in a city maybe at its best.
We are walking through the streets of Saint Louis trying to find jazz.
Saint Louis Jazz Festival sort of set the city on fire. There's people everywhere in beautiful outfits, incredible dancing, incredible music, and just like amazing vibes.
We found music! Tom, how was that?
It was so cool.
As a musician myself, I've studied jazz guitar and music for years, and seeing the level of ability in these musicians live here in Senegal was such a treat. It seemed like everywhere we walked in town, there was music just blaring out of every door, out of every building. It was this cacophony of sounds and amazing smells, and we had so many fun after hours memories.
So we showed up to this party in like a partially disused, grand, sort of like old French colonial building with a tiled floor and a rooftop, and there was a DJ there and everyone just having so much fun dancing. I've never felt so insecure about my dancing because the level of dancing was just amazing to watch, and the outfits, I felt so underdressed. It was amazing. And we were there from like 1 till 3 a.m.
You know what it means to be famous, Tom.
It's an honor. I just want to say thank you to, I guess, everyone in the Nordics for being pretty similar looking to me, so that when there was a very famous Norwegian footballer who looked similar enough to me, so they cheer for Haaland because he looks a bit like me, so that's great.
After a leisurely morning of walking around Saint Louis, we met up with our friend Ida and her family, who welcomed us into their home for a lovely meal of chaboujen and yassa, two traditional dishes here in Senegal.
Green tea. Yeah. It's considered.
That's so tasty.
Merci beaucoup.
This is a local fruit called sapoti. You're gonna open it so you'll see what it looks like on the inside. And then you just eat the inside bit and obviously not the seeds.
That was a good meal. On full stomachs and happy hearts, it was time to load up some surfboards and connect with Mamadou, a surf coach in Dakar who is helping provide surfboards to local surfers that may not have access to them. He invited us into the coolest little surf shack for some tea to chat about the Senegal surf scene.
Même déjà pour les gens qui viennent surfer, ils n'ont pas d'endroit où laisser leur matériel et tout. Du coup, j'ai contacté mon ami Lai, c'est lui le propriétaire ici. Pourquoi pas on fait un truc pour les surfeurs quand ils viennent, on forme les bois et tout.
When's the last time you had good, really good waves here?
I think it's like 3 weeks ago, I think.
2 weeks ago, just before we arrived.
Yeah, before I arrived, I think. I'm telling you, the only problem in Senegal was only the material, the board and all, because the work is every day here.
Yeah.
If they have a permitted to have nice board and all, they can do something nice. Yeah. And it's not perfect, you know. Sometimes they use without fin because they don't have the permitted and all.
I just have to say, this is the part of the story where Thomas's passion for surfing and his selflessness really shines. Before we arrived in Senegal, Thomas drove his van from the UK to Switzerland to meet up with Simon from Provide the Slide, a non-profit that pairs unused surfboards to those in need.
So my name is Simon. I'm the workshop guy from Provide the Slide. I do all the repairs.
Provide the Slide fixes the boards and pairs up with surfers going on surf trips in Africa to deliver them. They loaded up Thomas's van, said their goodbyes,
Thanks so much. You're welcome. Great to meet you.
and drove back to the UK.
I'm headed out of Switzerland. Now the van's fully loaded.
Once he arrived back home, he then headed to the airport, where he and Ben loaded these 7 board bags full of 21 surfboards and flew to Senegal. Unfortunately, we weren't able to film Mamadou giving them out to local surfers. You'll see why in the next episode. But it's pretty cool to think that this surf shack we were standing in would soon be full of those boards for the local surfers to enjoy. Although surfing in the ocean is pretty rad, we decided to give our arms a rest from paddling and head to a more unique place to use some surfboards, the sand dunes.
I've never been to the desert before. The only dunes I've ever been on are like by the beach. And so the most that I've adventured is from dune to surf. So it was cool to be in like endless dunes. I've never experienced that before. We're in a traditional Mauritanian tent in the middle of the desert in Senegal.
I think it suits me.
3, 2, 1, dropping!
Just before we were going to head to bed, we stumbled across a few local drummers that provided a pretty memorable soundtrack to our final night in the desert.
Beauty.
Goats. After a few days of romping around in the desert, it was time for the Goat Surf Club to head back to the ocean. For the Goat Surf Club, we don't need amazing waves to enjoy new places. As you can tell from this clip of me surfing, we're not high-performance surfers. We just love the places surfing can take us. And as we wrap up this 3rd episode, we're so grateful it took us here, to Senegal. As we sit on our surfboards looking at the shore, we hear drumming on the beach. We see big smiles from the locals playing soccer, and smell the fresh fish being cooked by the fishermen that they caught for their friends and family to eat once the sun goes down. On our next episode, the joyful and bright Senegal we are falling in love with suddenly turns pretty dark as political unrest changes our plans to meet up with a local mangrove reforestation charity.
Oh my gosh. That was the sound of tear gas bomb.
So stay tuned. because once again, the Goat Surf Club has found itself in a pretty wild situation.